All right, everyone, welcome to an episode of the Myokinetix podcast. Today, we're going to talk about something that we don't often see, especially dealing with like physical injury, which is overcoming internal self-doubt. I've seen it firsthand where, your body, your injury can heal, but right before you get back into your sport, on the mound, back on the field, you always have this, almost a scar when it comes to your confidence, your well-being, and that can actually take a toll on you when it comes to your performance. So today we're going to address all of that because it's extremely important. And for you to actually, find your old identity and become an athlete again, you need to be able to overcome these self-doubts. And we have ways that we can go over that today. First thing first, the first point when it comes to overcoming internal self-doubt is you have to acknowledge that it's okay to feel doubtful when it comes to returning to your sport, right? If you are a pitcher, the first time you're getting back on the mound, it's going to be, traumatic in some way because when you got injured, you're throwing, and next thing you know, your elbow just gave up on you, and you're going to have a sense of fear and a mistrust when it comes to your body. So it's great to be able to acknowledge that first, that, hey, I don't feel confident in my elbow. I don't feel confident in my knee because I went through this before and it just gave up on me, so I don't know if I can trust it yet. Because once you acknowledge something, you can then realize and say, okay, I have a big mistrust in this and I need to learn how to trust your body again. It's a beautiful first step, right? In any single situation, we always like to get our athletes to say, hey, it's okay to feel fearful, and then we can work it through. And then as part of your rehab program, it's slowly build your confidence back by trusting your body once again through repetition. So that's number one, is to be able to acknowledge that you are feeling a certain way when it comes to your body. Number two, you have to change your mindset into a long-term game. What I mean by that is that most of the time when an athlete's coming in, they think that they actually need to get back on the mound within the next 6 months in order to get recruited, or they need to be able to play within, this big tournament around the corner. Now, if you think of it that way, it seems like it's really short term. You want to think of it long term, where like, hey, if I did get recruited, I want to rehab it so well that I actually can trust my body for the next 4 years in college, right? So having that long-term perspective change a lot of things. So you're not only looking at things from a micro level where you only see a day ahead. You want to actually look at it from a macro level as long as possible, that, hey, this pain is temporary, this mistrust is temporary, and I can actually keep moving forward by setting a long-term goal, long-term vision, so that way each and every single day you're looking at it as an investment in yourself for your future self. Change the mindset from today and tomorrow to, hey, what's going to happen 6 months from now, a year from now, and 3 years from now. And that's going to give you a way better peace of mind about the rehab. Now, speaking of, setting long-term vision, with the long-term vision, the third thing you want to do is you want to set small goals, right? Setting small, achievable goals is extremely important. We like to do this since day one because once you're able to set small goals, for example, if you're first day out of your UCL surgery, the first goal we're going to set is like, hey, can you move your elbows up and down to full range of motion? That's going to be the first goal. Because you're breaking down the bigger goals into a bite-sized goals, it doesn't seem impossible. It just seems like you're just taking one step at a time, right? So the first goal is going to be, hey, I need to get my range of motion back. The second goal would be, hey, I need to be able to get my strength back. I need to be able to lift and carry my book bag. Okay, now I need to be able to do a push-up. I need to be able to do a pull-up, right? Now I want to be able to just do a long toss. I want to get on a long toss program. Great. Now I want to get back on the mount program. Great. Now I want to be able to do a flat ground at 80%. Then I want to be able to do a flat ground at 90%. Then I want to be able to go and throw off the mount at 70, 80, 90. So you see how those small goals actually lead into bigger goals down the road, right? So with internal, false belief is that your mind is telling you like you can't do it. You're not good enough. You're not ready. You're not strong enough. And the only way to combat that is to give you a lot of proof like, hey, yeah, I know that I can't do it yet, but I can do this now. And I'm gonna make this the best, rehab session that I have today. And I'm gonna make sure that I get my range of motion back. I'm gonna make sure I get my strength back. And that's how you combat all that, false belief that's in your head. So that's the third thing, is to set small, achievable goals. Fourth way to help you overcome this is to actually build a strong, supportive community, right? Because when you get injured, I've seen this firsthand, athletes just feel like they're alone. They're the only one that's going through this. They're the only one in their team that tore their UCL. They're the only one in their team that tore their ACL. And you used to have a team of people that you get to hang out with every single day. And now because you're injured, you're now isolated because you're not at practice, right? You're not participating with the team. So to build a supportive system, I would say you got to talk to your parents. Parents who are listening to this, your job here is to just make sure you support your child. As far as talking to them, asking them how they feel. Asking them like, hey, what do you do in PT today? Hey, what gains have you made today? Great. Hey, seem like you're looking better. Seem like your pain is getting better. Seem like your swelling is gone. These little acknowledgement goes a long way. Now, if you're a patient, you're an athlete, your job is to be communicative with the people that are trying to support you. I know it sucks because in the beginning when you're going through this, you want to shut everybody out because they might not know what it's like because they're not going through what they're going through, what you're going through. But when you're doing that, you're kind of alienating people. So let's be open and let people know like, hey, mom, like my elbows feel great today. I'm able to do this and that. So people can celebrate your wins with you and they can keep you accountable, right? Especially doing your home exercises. I always highly encourage all my athletes to stay in touch with the team, to participate and help the team in some way. You gotta show up to practice, you gotta show up to game. You don't wanna alienate yourself and not be there for your teammate. Guess what? Because you can support them, emotionally, mentally. You can help them with some plays. You can help them, fine tune their skill set. And the best thing about this is that this is an opportunity for you to learn about the sport that you love from a coaching perspective. Hang out with the coaches. Ask the coaches what they see in this scenario, how you can get better. Because what you want is by the time you get back on the game, you're going to be mentally smarter and sharper when it comes to your sport. Your mechanics will be better and you're going to have a better understanding of the game, right? So this is actually going to put you ahead rather than behind. The fifth things that you can do is to visualize your comeback. And again, this is extremely, extremely important. People are always talking about the power of visualization. And visualization is doing something in your head, thinking about it, painting it so that way it's look like a reality. And you can just keep building it, into a real reality. So the biggest thing is like if you listen to Michael Jordan, you listen to Kobe, before any big game, they always visualize how the game's gonna go, right? Scenario. When the balls come this way, there's 2 minutes on the clock, they're down by 4 points, what kind of play are they gonna run, right? You wanna do this every single day when it comes to your rehab. Now, for my pitchers, I always tell them, visualize the mound. Visualize that feeling, what it's like to step on the mound for the first time, go through all your phases of throwing, visualize how the ball is coming out of your hand, visualize how that feels, visualize the crowd, right? The more you're doing that, the better exposure you're gonna have. So by the time you come back to your sport, you don't get performance anxiety because in your head, you're never out of the game because you're always visualizing about the game. So it's extremely important. It's also gonna make you appreciate when you get to go back to the game. Last one, and it's extremely important, is remember your why. Like, why do you want to play the sport in the first place? Dig deeper. This is a really good opportunity for you to figure out hey, why do I play soccer? Why am I playing baseball in the first place? Is it because my parents pushed me to do it? Or is it because I want to do it, right? And for the parents, it's really good to encourage your kids to figure out hey, we give you all the resources, we give you all the training for you to play this sport, but do you really love this sport, right? Explore why. Now, there's so many different things you can do as you're figuring out your why. Once you have your why of why you want to play the sport, that, hey, I love being competitive. I'm really good at this sport. I made a lot of friends with this. And guess what? I make myself proud playing this sport and I make my family proud playing this sport. That's a really strong reason. And if you have that reason, you're able to write down on your phone or on a piece of paper you get to see every single day, on the day that you have setbacks, which you will, you can remember your why, and that why is going to carry you forward. So that way you can just keep going over the adversity, all the obstacle that you have, right? My favorite quote from this philosopher is Friedrich Nietzsche. He say, a man who knows his why can bear almost any how. So this is extremely important, especially if you're dealing with, season-ending injury like an elbow injury or an ACL injury. So understand your why when it comes to why you're doing your sport, why you're loving it. It's going to give you a really clear path to overcome that internal false belief. So, injuries are tough and self-doubt is extremely real. You have the power to overcome both. So it's not going to happen overnight. So with these 6 tips that I gave you today, make sure you take it one by one. Implement one at a time, one per week. So that way you can slowly build up a good routine, a good habit. So that way when you hear that mean mind, that voice that say you're not good enough, that you don't trust your body, and that you're never gonna be as good of an athlete as you were once again, you can overcome that and then actually start treating yourself and say, hey, that's my mean mind talking, and this is how I actually am as a person. I am capable, I am strong, I'm resilient, and I know when I get back on the mount, when I get back on the field, I'm gonna be a way better competitor. I'm gonna be a way better athlete. I'm gonna be a great teammate, and I'm gonna make myself proud. I'm gonna make my family proud, right? So thank you for tuning into this episode. If you, anyone that you know are struggling with self-doubt, please share them this episode. It's gonna help a lot. And, keep pushing yourself forward, and I'll catch you in the next episode.